Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're actually going to be replacing the battery in my car. But before we do that, I'm going to show you guys two methods on how to check your battery to determine if it's bad. Now, the first method, we're going to be using a multimeter. This is a very common tool. Everyone usually has one of these at home. And the second method is going to be using a designated battery tester. Now, this is not a very common tool that people have at home. A lot of people don't actually buy one of these because they'll seldomly ever use it. But I think it's a handy tool if you want to check your battery annually to determine if it's healthy or not. But just because these two methods show that the battery is still good does not necessarily mean your battery is actually good. There are some common symptoms that actually determine that your battery is still bad, even though these tests show that it's good. Now we'll go over those common symptoms after we do the test. So let's just get started and do some tests. All right, guys, so before we even get started, one thing to note is the production date of your battery. This is from September of 2016, so that's 7 years old, about there. Most batteries only last about 4 years and under, usually a lot under 4 years. So most batteries don't even make it there. So I'm pretty surprised that this battery still works at the 7-year mark. All right, so we're gonna start off doing all these tests using the multimeter. Now, we're going to set the multimeter to voltage, as you can see, and then we're going to measure the resting rate of the battery. Now, if your battery is already fully charged or you just came back from a drive, you want to discharge some of the battery to get to the resting rate. And how you would do that is by turning on your headlights for about 2 to 3 minutes, leaving them on, and then turning them off. Then you can measure the resting rate because that would have discharged some of the power. Now, this has been already sitting overnight and it's already discharged. So this would be its actual resting rate. All right, so as you can see, the resting rate is between 12.4 and 12.3. A healthy 100% battery is going to be around 12.6. 12.4 means it's around 75%. 12.2-ish is going to be 50% or below. Now, the health of this battery is saying that the resting is about 75% of charge, which is showing that the battery is still good because 75% could still crank over the car. All right, so the next test we're going to do is we're going to do a cranking test. This is going to measure and show how much power it drops down to, so how much voltage it's going to drop down to before it actually starts. Now, anywhere below 10 is showing that the battery is actually pretty worn. So we're going to crank it over and see if this actually goes below 10. Now, a couple things to note here. With the car on, this is the final test. This is showing that the battery is holding charge. 14.3 is actually pretty good, means the alternator is good and the battery is charging. All right, so we did see that this dropped down to about 9.8. So it is a little bit under 10. So the battery is still okay, but it is not 100% anymore. Now, those are the two tests that determines that the battery is good based off of the multimeter. Now we're going to go over the same test, but we're going to do it with the battery tester. All right, so we're going to use the battery tester. So before we even get started, because you saw that the multimeter said 13 volts, it's because it's holding excess charge. Now, we had to discharge it a little bit, so I turned on the headlights for about 2 to 3 minutes. Now we could just hook on this battery tester to get an accurate resting rate. All right, so now the battery tester is on by using the power from the battery. Hit enter, and you want to go to battery test. And then you want to put in the type of battery it is. It's just a regular flooded. And you want to test, I guess, the CCA, I guess, cold cranking amps. Now here is where you want to put in the CCA amount. The sticker is a little bit rubbed out. So I'm just going to go with what my new battery says, which is 500. So that is already accurate, 500. Now we hit enter. Now it's testing the battery. So this actually shows that the battery is no good. It says replace battery. So the health of the battery is bad. The charge is about 78%. It's showing it's at 12.47 volts. So that is saying that the battery is actually bad. Unexpected. Now we can run the same test, the cranking test. Now we have to start the car, and then we will see what this shows. So the cranking amps, as you can see on here, well, it's hard to see. It says 9.8, so that's actually not that good. Now we'll do the final test, which is a charging test, and the engine needs to be on for this. So we have to rev it up to 2500 and keep it there for 5 seconds. So charging test shows that it's normal. Alright guys, so we did 2 methods of testing your battery to determine if it is bad or not. The first method was the multimeter method, which determined the battery is okay, but it is a little bit warm because it's hovering under the 75% resting charge, where it's like about 12.3, 12.4 volts. And it's also cranking around, the voltage drops down to about 9.8 for cranking. It is a little bit worn. You can tell that the battery is a little bit worn, but it still works, right? Now we did also using the battery tester method. Now the battery tester, I know on screen we couldn't really see this battery tester screen, but basically the results were the battery test determined that the battery needs to be replaced, but the cranking and the charging test showed that it was normal. Now, based off of that, it's just saying that the battery is still okay for the time being, but it should be replaced sometime soon. Now, another couple common symptoms that you may experience is that if your engine's off and you're listening to the radio, say you're parked in a parking lot listening to the radio, if within 15 minutes to half an hour your battery goes dead because of listening to the radio, battery is actually not holding charge. It's just not good anymore. Another thing is that if you're cranking the vehicle and you notice that it is cranking a little bit slower, that's another symptom, because a strong, good battery that holds 100% charge will crank no problem. It will be very strong starter crank. I'm experiencing both of those symptoms, so those are really 2 very, very common symptoms. But now we already know what the condition of this battery is. It is from 2016, so it's a 7-year-old battery. It's about time that we actually do replace it. So I do have a brand new battery purchased from Costco. And we're going to replace that old battery, which was also from Costco. Alright guys, you can see the new battery's in, and it is made in May of 2023. Alright, now we could just run the same test with the battery tester and see what it reads now. Alright, battery test. Regular, it is 500 cca. This was sitting on the shelf, so it's 100% healthy, as you can see. It is at 12.5 volts. So it's not fully charged, but it is 100% healthy based off of the results here. So now let's give the car a crank and we can listen to see if, if it sounds weak or not. Alright guys, the new battery is installed and it is working completely fine. As you can see, the battery test actually showed that it's a healthy battery. And it cranked over just fine. So that's basically it for this video, guys. I hope this helps you guys out. If you haven't already, please comment, like, and subscribe, and share my videos. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.